moving on to the next film, we're going way back to 1954, and I'm talking about a film that I just watched the other night, which is an amazing film to watch if you live in an apartment during the time like this when you're self-isolating. We're talking Rear Window, guys. Rear Window. Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. If you've never heard of Rear Window, I'm surprised. But it stars Jimmy Stewart, the guy from, A Wonderful Life, and also a little known actress named Grace Kelly. So Jimmy Stewart, he's like sort of a pseudo-famous photographer, and he was like in an accident and he broke his leg, so he's kind of like wheelchair ridden. And it's him in his apartment, and he has a window, like rear window, and he gets to like look at everyone else in his like sort of area in this big city, and it's a bunch of apartments and a bunch of people living in those apartments doing whatever they're doing, whether they're a ballet dancer, songwriter on the piano, sleeping like outside on their balcony, or they're a salesman or whatever, or they're just a newly married couple. You see it all from Jimmy Stewart's eyes, and so he's kind of being a little bit of a creeper because there's nothing. It's 1954. What else are you gonna imagine? This self-isolating in like 1954 when there's no internet. You can't stream Tiger King, guys. You have to sit in your apartment or house and basically just stare out the wall. But in this instance, Jimmy Stewart decides to stare out his rear window, and that may have been a mistake, Jimmy. That may have been a mistake. So in the film, he witnesses a possible murder. A man murders his wife. Maybe. We don't really know. He's trying to prove it. And that's our film. It's in one location. And that's it. And I love films like this that take place in like one single location, because the writers and the filmmakers really have to step their game up, because you have to make it compelling, because we're in one space the entire film. There's no change of scenery. And, I mean, it's Alfred Hitchcock. The dude's a legend. So is Jimmy Stewart. So is Grace Kelly. But another thing that you have to like take into account, especially with this film, is the time that it came out at. Like, the times are so different from then to now. Like just the plot of the film, a man killing his wife, and like may not chop her up into little pieces just to like cover it up. Like, that is was unheard of, and that was like really like holy crap, holy shit content. You see, I tried to say crap instead of shit, and it just doesn't work. Crazy shit. Like, it's crazy stuff. It like, just imagine back then. I mean, now it's like we see that every day in pretty much any type of thriller content that we're watching. I mean, just look at Mindhunter for an example, or like any David Fincher film. It's always there, all this murder and mystery and stuff like that. Well, my coffee's cold, so that's great. So I might dip into my energy drink, but we'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, so it's definitely wild then. So yeah, the Rear Window. Get back on track. Stay on target, Michael. Stay on target. But yeah, a big thing that I was heavily impressed with this film is the view, like the cinematography from Jimmy Stewart's Rear Window. Like, just the way, the layout of all the apartments is it's almost breathtaking. The cinematography in here is ridiculously good. Like, it makes the film hold up to this day. I mean, again, there's obviously pretty much little to no effects in the film, because it's in one place and you're not dealing with any fantastical elements. You're just dealing with a real life situation with real life people. So like there's none of that like kind of dated effects like a classic world War of the Worlds type of deal where the effects are the effects are pretty dated because of the time it came out at. So you're not dealing with any of that, but like just the cinematography alone makes the film like godly good. Like it was like, wow, like this is amazing looking. So the cinematography is on point. The direction, I mean, it's Alfred Hitchcock, but another like big thing in the film. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because it's an Alfred Hitchcock production, but like how suspenseful certain scenes are. I'm like, I was like grabbing onto my fucking pillow and shit at certain moments, and I was like, yo, man, like this film should not like came out in 1954 and it's taking place in some dude's apartment, and I'm like freaking the fuck out here. Like a lot of these scenes, I'm like, oh, dude, man, Jimmy, like you're in trouble, boy. Like, you know, there's a couple of scenes that really have you like gripping your seat and like grinding your teeth. You're like, oh, dude, what's gonna happen here? And I mean, that's par for the course when you're like watching a Hitchcock film like Psycho and Rear Window. But yeah. Another thing that really threw me off track here was just the dialogue scenes, like the conversations between characters about like stuff that's not really relating to the plot of the film as much. Like when Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly are like discussing like marriage, or like Jimmy Stewart and his like in-home like nurse, because you know he's pretty much he's crippled, he can't really move, so he has like a nurse come in and like bring him food and stuff every day. And like their conversations I felt was like really interesting. I mean, again, it's like it's a product of its time, so it's just very interesting to hear characters and hear ideas brought forward from characters that are set back in 1954, which is really cool, especially like observing it and watching it now in 2020. It's very interesting. It's very, I don't know. I thought it was a very interesting aspect of the film that really surprised me. I didn't really expect the dialogue to be so good in a film like this. So there was that. I would say the only criticism I have of the film was that there really aren't any, spoiler alert, it's not really a spoiler, but like there's no really twists and turns. Like the film like the plot is what it is. It's whatever you think happened. So that's probably like, I thought there was going to be some like twist or weird twist at the end. But I mean, I guess that didn't really happen that much back in those days. But I mean, it happened with Psycho. Psycho has a really infamous twist at the end. And I thought this one was going to have it. But yeah, no, it is what it is. And I mean, it's not really a criticism. I think just my expectations, like kind of like big time adolescence, my expectations are a little high, especially from an Alfred Hitchcock production, and the fact that Rear Window has been built up to me from other people's opinions on it so much that I had really high expectation. I thought I was gonna like have my mind blown by the end, and I did, but like because of all the technical aspects and just because the film is phenomenal itself. But like I thought there was gonna be some type of twist at the end, and there's really not. So that's probably the only criticism I have. Does it have the movie magic though? Does it have the Mikey's movie magic? Yeah, it definitely does. Hell yeah. Wow. The film just wowed me throughout the entire runtime. I don't think it's a really long film either, so it's kind of a quick watch. It's definitely an awesome film to watch right now if you're self-isolating. It's definitely one of those prime, like, don't watch those fucking pandemic films and, like, have a panic attack about it. Just watch Rear Window and have a different panic attack. So, yeah. I even looked on Rotten Tomatoes. It has 100%. And I think that's with, what? Almost almost 200 critics rating it. So that's crazy. Metacritic gives it 100. Like, it's pretty surprising how critically acclaimed the film is, and it deserves all of it. I know, like, again, I watched this. It was the first time for me watching it. It's one of those films that I think will probably cheat into, will like inch its way into my top 100 films. But it's the first time. It's my first time watching it, so you're not gonna see it in the top 100, unfortunately, because I probably would put it in there. But I mean, I'm gonna probably end up rewatching this film, and it's, over the years, it's probably gonna get bumped in there. So inevitably, I'm probably gonna have to do another update on my top 100 movies, but we'll see, or any changes. But it's definitely one of those fringe ones that will definitely probably edge itself in there, especially towards the bottom, like near closer towards 100. I think it's definitely going to be in there. So if you like thrillers, definitely check this one out. Maybe you're like me, you haven't seen it before. Honestly, even if you don't like thrillers, fucking watch it anyway. Like, it's really great, and it's definitely a film to be watched right now when everyone's self-isolating and you're kind of getting a little stir crazy. That and The Shining. Watch The Shining too. See what happens. That's a little. Maybe don't watch The Shining. Maybe don't watch The Shining. But anyway, moving on.